Therefore, is it time to draw? Yes. All right. Hello, everyone. Um, this is page 6 done. I added a little bit more, like I deepened some shadows over here and the clouds and finished all this up. And if you remember yesterday, I didn't have anything drawn for page 7, but now I've got page 7 written and drawn, so we're all good. Had to make some executive decisions. I actually changed one of my ideas. Originally, I was going to have Quixote, which that was a working name that I was not going to use, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and use it as an uncle. I might make him the dad now. But now I have to go back and not all the way to the beginning, but I probably have to go only the young nephews of his former adventuring companions as company. I'm going to have to change nephews to relatives. Relatives. I think that'll work. But one of the problems is, I gotta change that bubble. That's okay, we can easily do that. These are the things you do when you're trying to make a comic. Okay. And then that's it. That's the only changes I have to make. I'm pretty sure. Okay. All right, so on this page, just to go over what's going on, Alphabets leaves. There's a reaction over here. They're kind of yucking it up. And then first he kind of explains who the retrievers were. There's Alphabets. There is Philora. And then other characters. There's Finn, who's a fox. There is Perseus's aunt, Persephone. And Balin's father, Quixote. And he's kind of explaining how they came to live there. You know, as the younger generation. They're like the teen Titans version, but they're not Titans, they're apprentices. Alright, so that's where we're going. But the first thing I has to do, as always, is panel borders. Gotta draw your panel borders. Or rule your panel borders. In the most Baldo smudge kind of way. Y'all get that reference? Baldo smudge, ruling panel borders? Alright, what happened there? If that's not layer 1, what's layer 1? Oh, it's in layer 2. Alright, well, let's take... Screw it, let's just do it this way. I don't know which layer is which. All I know is we'll have to figure it out before we start doing some real cleanup. I had some thoughts as I was driving home today about who is and who isn't really a cartoonist. And this is my controversial thought that you will no doubt disagree with. A lot of the people making comics today are not cartoonists. Not at all. And I'm not saying they're not doing the art. I'm just saying that they're something else. There's a cartoonist, and then there's sort of like a fine artist. So today I started following Steve Rude, who I really like. And Steve Rude, to me, is not a cartoonist at all. I mean, he can draw cartoons. He can draw comics. He's in my top 5. Um, but I consider Steve Rude to be a fine artist. I was looking at his other work, and he's a fine artist. There's no doubt in my mind, because he doesn't just do that. Like his, I don't know how much money he makes from comics, but I do know that one of the things that he also does is, if you were a fancy gentleman living in Phoenix, Arizona, and you want to have somebody make a portrait of you and your family, you can go sit for a portrait, and Steve Rude will create an amazing painting of you. Um, that's what I consider a fine artist. And I know that David Finch is super popular. Um, on He's here on YouTube, and of course he's obviously done comics. Um, but I'll tell you, I can't name a single comic that he's done that I own. Because he comes from the more modern era, I guess. I don't know. And if you look at what he's teaching, he's not teaching cartooning. He's teaching fine art. He's teaching, fine art figure drawing. And I think that's the same with a lot of guys, like, Sergio Cariello, who's really good. Also, it's mostly known for, what is it, the the comic Bible. He's done all kinds of other things. I think he's actually even on one of the recent crowdfunding campaigns that I saw. I still don't think of him as a cartoonist, though. I think of him as like a fine artist. And I think there's a difference. Okay. There's nothing on the page, but if we have, that's layer 2 and that's layer 1, I think we can combine those layers. So this is our panel layout. So we have 4 panels. Then there's our pencils. And so if this is panels, this is why I have to name everything panels. Pencils. And then finally, inky. Anyways, I've really enjoyed Mr. The Rude Dude, the Dude. He calls himself the Dude, the Rude Dude. I think his independent studio is called Rude Dude Studios. In fact, oh, I should go a little bit further with the pencils than I did. I think in a sense I'm saying something complimentary when I say someone's really not a cartoonist; they're a fine artist. But I can see people getting annoyed by it. Um, Possibly because I'm implying, and I am implying, that I think there should be less fine art in comics. There should be less fine art. I think it's kind of cool as a novelty. Like when Alex Ross shows up and paints an entire comic. But, boy, way to miss the action. I find Alex Ross really boring. There's no denying the talent that goes into it. And it's never been less interesting. Like when you compare it to something like Mike Sekowsky drew all the Silver Age Justice Leagues. He's not that good of an artist at all. Like, he's not that good. Like, but if you look, and the stories are, once again, quote unquote, not that good. They're Gardner Fox. And then you just look at the run of it, and it's like Starro, Conjaro, Amazo. It's like every incredible story the Justice League ever had. And they're not that incredible in execution. They're actually kind of corny, if you read the Silver Age Justice Leagues. But there's something very special about them. that last to this day. I mean, they just did the Suicide Squad movie, which featured Starro. The very first episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold features Kanjaro. You know, the coolest, in my opinion, um, episode of the Justice League Unlimited cartoon was the one with Amazo. That was the golden robot. They called him something else. They didn't call him Amazo. They called him somebody's Doctor What's his name's android or something like that. They just couldn't use that cool name. And they didn't use the classic look of Amazo either, which I love the look of Amazo. He's got like that red. It's like sort of green and red with pointed ears. I mean, it's very dated. It has a very 60s look to it. Looks like a 60s Star Wars villain or something. Star Trek villain. Um, okay. I don't know if I might have to look at my reference for drawing Perseus from behind. It's He's got a sleeved jerkin. There he is. He's got a belt. And it's solid in the back because it actually kind of opens in the front and it's tied at the front. There he is. And then hands out like this. Oof. It is Thursday. I am looking forward to Saturday for Drive-In Saturday. I've been doing a lot of drawing. Like at night, I do a lot of sketchbooking. All right, let me go over. Well, I've already gone over this character is not high enough. It's got to be a little bit bigger, like a little bit up here. I think that'll do it. Okay. And I have to remind myself this is just the pencil layer. Actually, I could take this leg and kind of push it back. He's got big sleeves too. This guy's got sleeves. I think it's important to show the tail for the rat. And why they won't think he's a mouse, a wretched mouse. Okay, and just to remind myself, are they holding anything? I think they're both hands open-handed. The one thing that's missing is the dog. We haven't seen where the dog went. Yeah, they're both open-handed. They were fighting over the package earlier. I could even do this as an open panel. Just erase the borders on it if we wanted to. But for now, we're not going to worry about it too much. Where's my special one, the fountain inker? That's the one I like lately. All right. Mad inky, yes. Anyway, that was my thought about cartoonists versus artists. I'm not saying one's better. My favorites, um, all three I consider just to be cartoonists. Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Osamu Tezuka. But in my top five, I would probably include Keith Giffen, who I consider a fine artist. No, well, Keith Giffen's a cartoonist. Steve Rude's a fine artist. There's a difference. Sergio Aragonés, definitely cartoonist. Bill Sienkiewicz, cartoonist? No, definitely a fine artist. I'm not just saying the ones that can paint. You know, or ones that were just really, really good. Because, like, it's just something, it's some quality. I'm not sure I've got my finger on the exact thing. It's like Jack Cole, guy who did Plastic Man and a lot of the um, mid-century modern Playboy cartoons. Cartoonist, not a not a fine artist at all. I think he's good enough to be, though. Hal Foster, artist or cartoonist? I would put him under the artist, probably. All right. Too thick. What is going on with that line? All right. I've got to make the chainmail pattern on these guys, too. The other thing is, and I left them off of him, too, is they have pants. Perseus is a little meatier than Balin, of course, because he's a fighter. He comes from a line of fighters. A couple of things to know. The ant. The reason he's there is because his aunt has been killed in combat, um, and she was a champion of Athena. You know, I'm not going full D&D. I'm not saying she was a cleric of the Athena, but so she had both, or a battle mage. I called her a battle mage, I think. I didn't even call her anything, but that was my idea. She was going to be a champion of Athena, and Quixote's going to be a knight. All right, this one, I think it's tough because I'm trying to figure out the size and the shape of the heads, and they're not like Perseus's head is not like a human egg shape. It's more like a sideways oblong. So I got to keep that in mind. And that to me is the soul of cartooning. Like when you look at those old World War II era Submariner comics. Submariner has a completely triangle shaped head. It's just a wedge. It looks like this. And it's not that that's just how he drew heads, because you can see other characters in the comic did not have that kind of head. And then you can also see when the characters teamed up with the other characters like Captain America and we're going up against the Human Torch, the Android version. None of those characters have the triangle head. Like they just don't have it. It's a specific detail of the character. And by the time they brought the character back to Marvel, to Marvel, modern age Marvel, in the 60s, they had dropped the triangle. They didn't do the triangle head anymore. And I think that was a huge mistake. But on the plus side, they left it for people like me to discover. Also, if you're a cartoon, you could do things like this, denoting surprise or alarm. All right. I'm wondering how to do this tail. I could easily do the tail like that. Same deal with the pants as on Perseus. I'm just too big on the line weight. Actually, I don't like his back foot back here. I'm going to erase it just so I can figure out what else to do with it. This puts him a little bit off balance if I do it like that. Let's take a look without the pencil layer. Now, if we wanted to, we can easily fit the dog back in over here. But I think I was going to have it so the dog just disappears. He flew off somewhere. I don't like that line. It's okay, we'll just redo it. So we have an opportunity, once again, to do some cool shading, because this BAMF teleportation presumably creates light. I'm looking at it and I want to do it as an outline. Now let's do it as an outline. Cool. Pencils. Inks. What are we at, 23? I'm going to do the outline with... I don't know. Where's my smooth natural? I could do a smooth natural. I just realized I screwed that up. Ooh, let's go back to my fountain pen. Fountain, fountain, fountain. All right, let's take the pencils out again. Gotta take this out too. And then we got the beginnings of our panel worked out. So it's going to take me a couple of days to kind of work through this whole thing. But if you will, if you like, whoops, please like, follow, and subscribe. There will be more. Whoops, Book of Ruin every day until it gets done. And then, like the day after it gets done, there will be another comic. I'm just going to keep going. There we go. My goal is 1,000 pages. This is, I think I'm around 700 and something. I'm going to check my records. I was on there this weekend, but I can't remember. It was 720 or something like that. You just got to keep going. And slowly, you'll improve. And that's the whole point. Got to get through your. The whole point is improving. By the way, when I followed Steve Rude, that was one of the first things on his channel. It said, "How do you get good? How do you break in?" Well, you just have to keep going until you somehow improve. Until you somehow get to a point where you're good. And I agree with him. Oh, yeah. I think that's it for right now. All right. Talk to you later.